machines on Earth.
Beep boop.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear me, please bear with us for a moment. We've just experienced a rather unexpected interruption here in the studio. In the meantime, we urge you not to touch that dial or look away. Listen. The most amazing machine on Earth.
You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
Holy moly, bobbly, poly, coly, bally. Thank you so much for 10 community sub gifts. And thank you, Bib Enough, again for the 26 months. Thank you. Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. How's everybody doing? The club lives. I know this is kind of making me want to do a little DJ stream. Do it. How are you? I'm doing good. How are you? through it. It's been a little bit since we did the rave stream.
When night comes, the veil of time falls, and only one thing remains: eternal Elysium.
You needed to catch up on sleep today?
Beep boop.
Beep boop. Oh, oops.
You're breathtaking. You're all breathtaking.
First day off in weeks, yay! So having trouble sleeping, but for some reason I'm awake now and happy to be here. You know what's the best when you're thanks, Mr. Boba, for the follow. Appreciate it. Oh, reading books. It's the best. Was that a potato? I'm not sure what that was. What book are you reading now? I was starting to read a book called Kluge. It's the full title is, what is the full title? Kluge, the haphazard construction of the human mind. Well, it sounds a little I'm not trying to. The book is actually about like inventions and innovations and how like the clumsiness of the human mind actually helps people to solve problems and be creative, but the the title doesn't make that super obvious, I guess. Sounds interesting. This book actually like made me laugh a couple times so far. I mean, I'm not super far into it. And it's not supposed to be like a funny book. So I guess that's a sign of a good book. I've been reading a book on anti-gravity. It's really hard to put. Haha. But sometimes I do that as well. Well, I have a nice stream. I'm just starting. I'm gonna go enjoy some pew pew. What does that mean? You're gonna go shooting? Clumsiness helps invention. I should be a world-class inventor then. I mean, you could be. Beauty from chaos, how our voice begins with a noise generator. It's more about how like we think. I mean, I'm not too far into it. But it's like people think how like my brain's still waking up too. How our human minds were like designed to be like perfect, but it's actually not true. Like it's like it has evolved in like the most it just like it just evolves to adapt to like a new situation. So it's actually really a mess if you really look into it. But then those little flaws of how we've evolved actually helps us be better, and like how it helps us be creative and innovative. They screwed up mine, that's for sure. Less this mess, yeah. But it's interesting, I think, because maybe if I get more into it, it will kind of show us, but then AI is kind of a mess. I was gonna say how human mind and like our evolution would be different from the AIs that was like designed to be creative. But I also feel like because it's the humans that are creating it and it's just like constantly being patched, maybe it will be the same. Like we're both like a duct taped brains with problems that you just had to fix to survive. Like, the world has evolved a lot during the last 5 years. Eventually, I will be good, I think, but not anytime soon. But in truth, there's a book I was reading that really drew my attention called Never Night. Permanently temporary fixes. Really good series, dark fantasy. I'm not a huge like fantasy book reader person. I used to when I was a little kid, but I feel like maybe because there are so many great media for fantasy stuff, like, or fictions, that I think I prefer watching. Salted battery with that tier 3. Ooh, we have 84 PP points. 84.
How has it been 3 years?
How has it been 3 years?
I would swear it has only been 2 years. Are we time travelers?
I swear it's only been 2 years. Are we time travelers? No. Maybe. I like reading some stories because they'll only be told through books because it's the author's preference. Yeah, I don't know. My brain doesn't have the patience for reading those, which is unfortunate. I think like my brain has gotten like optimized for like I do reading for informational purposes. But when it comes to like stories, I think I can't, like, my brain doesn't have the patience. And I'm like, my brain prefers watching or listening.
Beep boop.
Reading beautiful prose is very informational. Books can be so much better than movies can, even in series. I'm sure it can be. I'm not denying that. And I'm sure there are a lot of people who actually there are people who prefer only reading like stories and like fictions. So everyone just has different preferences. I used to I used to read a lot of like fiction and like storybooks when I was a kid, but I think something happened. I think maybe because when I started learning English, actually that's not true. I was reading a lot of fictions when I was learning English, and then, well, I just generally didn't enjoy reading in English. This one of the things I learned sort of like intuitively when I was learning a new language, and like I was learning it in like when I was in high school, right? So like it wasn't like you kind of like naturally learn a language when you're a kid. Like I had to literally like teach myself it, and I was doing it with like a lot of other, you know, students who were also learning English as a second language, and I noticed or I observed that probably like reading, speaking, listening are, and on top of it, writing and also conversational skills are all like different parts of our brain, because like it was very noticeable that, like some kids would be like really good at like memorizing all the words, but then they wouldn't be able to have a single simple conversation with like another person, like an American person. But they're kind of the same way in Korean too. Like it was just that they were a little more fluent, so they knew what was going on a little bit better, and they were able to understand the context a little bit better. But like people who were, I guess, like shy and like didn't really know how to have a good conversation, they still couldn't, even if they had a really good memory and like they were really good at like getting grammars right and stuff for the exams, didn't mean that they would be a really good conversational person. But also just like for me, I feel like the order of how I kind of like became more fluent with English is, I think, speaking and listening, then writing. Actually, maybe speaking and writing. I think like speaking and listening somewhere. The thing is, listening was definitely harder than speaking. Not because I don't like to listen to people, but because speaking, you can kind of like form what you want to talk about with the words you know, whereas listening, you don't really have that choice. Like if someone says a word or expressions that you don't know, then like you kind of have to guess what they're saying based on the context, which is why I feel like listening was harder for me than speaking. And then writing, speaking and writing somewhere together, but they're different type of challenges, I guess. But I think for me, speaking came easier than writing, and then writing became a little bit easier. But writing was harder mostly because of the spell. Like I had to memorize all the spellings and like words, so it required a little bit extra effort than just like, I guess, being able to say something. But like everybody was different. Like some people would be like, oh, I prefer writing because I know grammars and I know how to, like I know all the spellings and I have a really good memory. But like they would struggle with talking, or like listening. So like everybody was different, and I was like, oh, it's like all different parts of our brains. And even if you get like perfect score at like these English exams, doesn't mean that they would know how to have a really good conversation, or like they would know how to speak up their opinion. So that's again like two different areas. And I mean, you kind of like see that in your own language too, right? Like you know all the grammars, but it doesn't make someone a great speaker, right? Like so they're different skill sets. And but you just don't really think about it when it's your native language. But when I was actually like trying to teach it, like intentionally, teach another language intentionally after, you know, your brain has kind of like grown, it was a lot more noticeable, and it was interesting observation, seeing how everyone was different and like everyone was talented in different things. I think it's just hard all around. True. She put all skill points into yapping. The thing is, I wasn't like I wasn't the best in term at like school. I wasn't bad, but like I wasn't the best. Like there were kids that were like far better at getting like great scores. But then but I think I was the best at making friends. Even though I didn't know what I was saying half of the times. So what I ended up actually doing, so after like teaching myself English, and I was like, okay, like I feel like I know English pretty well, but I'm still struggling to like make friends or have conversation with people. And why is it? And I realized that it was because I didn't understand context of what people were talking about, or I didn't have cultural understanding of conversation. So I was like, instead of learning all these like words from a dictionary, I should really start like watching movies and like watching sports, because sports seem to be a big deal in America. And that was like the topic, like the football, like the seasons, and like the basketball and like baseball seasons. That always seemed to be like a big topic. Like, so I started watching those and like started like memorizing like sports player names and like the scores of the last game. And then I started watching like popular shows that were playing, and also like music, which was like the best way for me, because like learning the songs, it helps you learn a lot of the words and expressions. And for some reason, when you do it with like a music, like with the rhythm and in the melody, it makes it a lot easier, at least for me, to remember a lot of the phrases. So I started doing that, and then like I would go around and just like ask people in school, like, oh, who's your favorite like singer, or who's your favorite band, who's your like favorite sports team. And then once I learned those, I'll go like study that, which then like even if I don't know the English, like perfect English grammar, I could still like join in the conversation. Oh, did you watch that game? I was like, oh yeah, that was a really good game. Like, or like, oh, like did you watch the last episode? Like that was really funny. Like this one scene, which then like, even if you're having like a conversation on broken English, you can still like bond with other people and like relate to a topic, versus like, you know, perfect grammar, but then if you don't know what people are talking about, you can't really join in that conversation. So it's like different area of your brains, like socialization, and then being able to like articulate your thoughts and opinions, and like all of these are like different skill sets that could be learned in different ways. I mean, at the base of it, you gotta know the language. So like basis of, you know, how certain words and grammar works and the alphabet works. But I think the best way to really learn a language in a practical way is to just like keep talking to people and like learning other people's interests, so you can have a conversation with them about it, rather than, you know, spending a lot of time trying to memorize like 1,000 words in your little cards, and then you're just like, this word, that word, apple, banana, onion, potatoes. Like, when are you gonna use the word potato? Unless you are really interested in cooking, and then maybe and you want to make friends who also enjoy cooking, and like that's your common interest, and like those could be helpful. But if it's not, and you're just like memorizing all these words that you would never use, it's just like a waste of your time and brain space. I'm not trying to teach chat how to socialize. It wasn't. I was talking more in terms of like when you're learning a new language. He's such a potato head. Could you could have picked any word and you picked potato. I don't know. Those are like one of the first words people be learning. And if you're doing like Duolingo or something, and then it just like it gives you a list of the words you should memorize, and it's just like really random ones. And like even like yesterday, I was talking to the girls about how like a lot of the people who learned Korean language were like through watching K-dramas or like listening to K-pop, which I was like, yeah, I think. And my brother learning Japanese through anime, and when you have these like interests, like try to use that. I think that's one of the best ways. And then find people who are also interested in the same thing, so you can keep practicing. It was really funny because when my brother was talking in Japanese in Japan, they were like, "Oh, are you from Osaka area? Because you have Osaka dialect, like an accent." And he was like, "Oh no, I'm from Korea." But I was like laughing at it because I was like, maybe some anime you watched was like the character was from Osaka or something. I had an English teacher who insists on teaching us the names of Hungarian dishes in English, and I was like, when am I ever gonna order Hungarian dishes? What? Why? It's one of the reasons we encourage socializing the students in the school program we do, to help make connections so that kids will want to learn English so that they can have an easier time talking with their new friends. Yeah, exactly. One thing that helps is to learn it in a fun way. For example, as you mentioned, learning Japanese from anime. Yeah. But then you have to go through another phase where you have to be prepared to be kind of like embarrassed and to prepare to make mistakes, because obviously no one's gonna be perfect from get-go, and like you will be making mistakes, like like these zombies and like JG kind of like give me my shit back. But it's that kind of experience that will like also like be ingrained in your brain, that you'll be like, oh, I made that one mistake and it was really like everyone laughed and it was really embarrassing, so I gotta like make sure that I correct that, and then you spend extra time like learning it to say it right way. It's tough, I have to say. Like I used to hate that like my friends would try to like correct me. I'm like, well, you know what I'm trying to say, like why do you have to like correct me in the middle? Like it's annoying. But then I realized that after a while, I was like, you know what? Those are the kind of experiences that actually does help me kind of like learn. So I shouldn't really complain and just like embrace it. But it used to be embarrassing because I'll walk into the dorm and just be like, it rained outside. I'll walk into the dorm full of like dudes and then girls, and then just be like, I'm so wet. And everyone would just start cracking up, and I'm like, what? And they're like, you mean you're soaked? And I'm like, it's the same fucking thing. Why? What is the difference? And like, you guys know what I mean. Why do you have to make fun of me for it? Like I'll get so annoyed about it, but then I would never. And then I learned to never say I'm so wet in front of a bunch of people when it's wet outside ever again. So, these lessons do it comes with a little bit of price, but it helps. And you just kind of have to say stuff knowing that you're gonna make mistakes and like have embarrassing moments. Soaked is much better, to be fair. So, but it's way better than saying I'm wet. Yeah, and like with you guys, I made a bunch too, like strap-ons, and I still don't understand what the fucking difference is. Why is strapping on versus strap-ons, like why are they different words? I don't get it. Oh, I saw this one video about, wait, let me see if I can find it, because I was like, I thought it was really funny.
It's never something you can learn right away. It can even take years to learn a new language. Nodder.
Oh, it definitely takes years to learn a new language. I don't think anyone can like fully, truly master a language in like a couple of weeks or like months. you would think that you've mastered it, but then you start just uncovering like new things that you're like, oh shoot, I thought I was pretty good by now, but it's like still learning. Oh, this one I found. I think it was this one. Wait, I found it.
The thing about Americans that I've thought about the language is that they say they speak English, but they've had to change it to make them understand it more. Go with me on this, because I've thought it through. They've changed some of the words. So they've taken the English language, but they've looked at some of it and they thought, no, I think we need a little bit more explanation here, okay? That's my American accent. So things like pavement. So they can't work with pavement, so they've changed it to sidewalk. Yeah. They needed more information. They needed to know where they were going to be walking so that they wouldn't get run over.
So I didn't think of that.
Pavement, sidewalk. So I think there must have been a period of time where they ran with the word pavement, but they kept getting hit by cars. So they changed it to sidewalk. Now, bear with me here, John, because I've thought this through. Yes. Bin, the word for bin. In American, waste paper basket. Yeah. They needed to know not only what to put in it, they needed to know that not only it was paper, but waste paper, and that it goes into a basket. It's not just any paper. They kept throwing away fresh paper for a period before they introduced the word waste paper basket. You see?
Well, we don't really say waste paper bin, so I feel like this one was kind of like made up. No one says that. It's just a trash can or like trash bin. So it is a bit more. Wait, how do UK people say rubbish? What do they say it?
Paper basket. You see, it's like they need instructions. Glasses for your eyes, they call them eyeglasses. They needed to know where to put them on their face. Because they used to have glasses and they would put them on their thighs and they would put them on their feet.
Spectacles was one of the words I think I learned when I went to England. Because people are like, oh, spectacles. And I was like, what? But...
And they would say, I can't see any better with the glasses. And then somebody went, no, they're eyeglasses. Well, why didn't you call them eyeglasses? There's a game called squash. Have you heard of it?
Yes.
Not in America. Racquetball. They needed... It's a true story. They needed to know what they were going to be playing with, a racquetball. And
it is more straightforward.
Even then, they get confused because there's no court. They don't know where to go. They just wander through the street going,
oh, spectacles or glasses?
I want to play racquetball. I want to play racquetball. So they're probably going to have to change that. But my favourite one, without a shadow of a doubt, is horse riding. Do you know what horse riding is in America?
Is it not called horse riding?
No. Horseback riding. They have to specify the area of the horse.
You gotta know where you gotta be sitting. You gotta be sitting on horseback, not the front, not on the butt, not on the belly, the back.
Well, yes. There were terrible problems because there was a period of time when they didn't call it horseback riding.
Where did they go?
They used to hold on to the tail.
I thought that was really funny. But I thought about it and I was like, that is kind of true. And I always question like, why did Americans like decide to change this word to this, or like why did they? Like, who just randomly decides, like, this is a new word for this thing? And I think my theory was that because America had, like, so many people with different cultures that were also, like, learning the new language. And I think this happened when I was learning language with, like, a lot of, like, non-English speaking friends, where, like, the language sort of has to become simplified in order to communicate, and you also have to be like really direct and that was sort of happening at a national level in America, right? So there are a lot of people with different cultures and like histories and language background coming into the same country together, and like they're trying to work together, becoming friends and working together. That I feel like a lot of words and conversational style had to be a lot more direct and simplified, which might have caused some changes like this. There are probably like some other like meme like evolutions of stuff, but that's my guess. That's my theory. Be like just straightforward. That's in plain and simple. Horse front writing didn't work out so well. They call lollipops suckers in some places. We also hated the English word, and also like, and on top of that, America it's a huge country. Like I don't think people really understand how big America is until they really like come here and like travel around different states. Like literally every states feel like it's a different country, and they kind of do operate like almost operate that way with their own like, you know, laws and like regulations too. So so there are a lot of like different languages, styles, and like dialects and like memes and culture in different states as well, which is kind of like a little different. And England is a tiny country, but they have a different accent every 2 streets. Torch, flashlight. In Swedish, it's called kluba, which can also be a word for a mallet, mace, and even a verb. Oh, lollipops are klupa. To be fair, my accent changed big time in the second half of my life as a Brit. Your accent changed throughout your life? Was it from like moving to different place? Because I feel like people you surround yourself with definitely affects your accent as well. Because I think the host, when she was first learning English, because she was living in East Coast, people used to tell her she has like a New York accent for some reason. And then she doesn't have that anymore. When you ask for a lollipop and they give you an 11th century Viking. I use a comparison of Japan and BC for size and... Oh, I missed it passed. Switzerland is tiny, but we have 4 languages, and even the accent of one language can be so different that... Yeah, I mean, like, Korea is tiny, but we have different dialects, and especially, like, there are a lot of like nuances that you may not get depending on the region that people are from. So imagine that and like scale that into American continent size, and then on top of it, like all these different cultures and languages mixing together. Hana, I legit think you sound like you're from Jersey sometimes. What? I don't even know what that means. But I'm pretty bad at recognizing accents or dialects. I just know that they have, like, if someone has an accent or dialect, I recognize that they have one, but I can never tell where. I still can't differentiate between, like, well, I can tell British, but like Aussie accent, I don't really. Wait, let's see. New Zealand and Australia. One woman, 17 British accents? Wait, what?
The UK is incredibly diverse in terms of party trick, Great Britain, English. It's
I have to be careful with these. Is my live stream still alive here?